Hello everyone. Today we have two important guests from Romania. One is Anda and second is Giulia. And they work as a team for a studio, Balance Yoga Studio. So I welcome to Anda and Giulia.
Hi.
Talk.
Hello.
And I would ask them to introduce themselves just by yourself. You see, Anda, how will you introduce yourself? As a yoga teacher or as a yoga studio owner?
So I am Anda. I am the founder of Balance Yoga, a yoga studio in Cluj, and I'm also a yoga teacher.
And I'm a Giulia, and I'm an instructor at Balance Yoga Studio.
I have been to their studio, and they have an extremely nice studio with 2 floors, which is designed and crafted very well, with a keen diligence on the minute details. So, Anda, what made you to decide that one day you want to open a yoga studio?
Well, in some ways, I wanted to share part of my journey and my experience. But on the other hand, I perceive my role on one hand as a teacher, but not necessarily just as a teacher, but more as an enabler. And because of this reason, I wanted to open a yoga studio where I create a safe space for people to develop and to grow. And when I talk about growth and development, I talk, of course, about the members and the people that attend our classes, but not only. I also wanted to invest a little bit more into the community and to create this kind of enabling space also for teachers or people who want to transform yoga into a profession, let's say, or want to develop more. So this is why I wanted to create this space.
And Giulia, how do you fit into Balance? Because I see that you do quite a lot of events and your classes. How is your experience working in Balance Studio?
Now something came very quick in my mind. I think that Balance Studio balanced myself also because I had the opportunity to combine also my other specialty like graphic design with yoga. I also have time to teach and then to create. Also I think this studio, it's like a very dynamic studio because we all the time we change things, we evolve in our practice and also introduce new challenges also for us, the teachers, but also the practitioners that come to our studio. So,
and Anda, since how long you are operating this studio? When did you open it first time?
We opened in the second half of November last year.
And what you used to do before opening a yoga studio?
Well, I'm Romanian. I'm born here, but I lived abroad for the past 10 years. I studied, I worked for the United Nations, and then I moved to strategy consulting. I worked in the corporate world, then I opened a startup in tech, in medtech, so I had a very, very hectic lifestyle. Like, if I am to think what I was doing a year ago, I probably would have on average 3 to 4 flights a week. So I was all over the place, working on very different things.
And Giulia, what you used to do before joining Balance and before becoming a yoga teacher? Or you still do the yoga as a part-time?
I still am a graphic designer, so this means that I don't fly so often, but usually I fly with my imagination. So I need to be very proactive with my creativity and to have very original designing project for my clients and help them to develop their branding. And also I work for different campaign and events that imply advertising areas. So yes, you can do a lot also from your chair with the computer and internet connection, and to fly in different places also with your mind. So it's like this for me.
And you girls been to India, yeah?
I haven't. No, not yet.
Yeah?
I was, yes.
And how was the experience visiting India?
It's like mixed feelings. it's not a good bad thing. It was like testing my limits in some times, but also I felt like a very different thing about the people in India.
Yeah.
I think the connection between them is very, very active. This thing I don't feel in Romania. So it's like a macro organism in India, and every little thing is perfectly integrated in the way India works. This it's also, I can tell as a little example, traffic in India. You think that everything will explode in any moment, but
Chaos, yeah.
everything is connected and it works.
So it's a balance within the chaos.
Yes.
Okay, then, and now we go to a very important question. You see, Anda and Giulia, you are just managing the studio for almost a year, and how do you see that these new teachers can start a yoga career? Do you think that they need a yoga studio, or they can just be a freelancer?
I think anything works, but just as, yoga, just looking at it as any other profession or any other field of activity, I think the most important part is to look at yourself and find out what you want, what your availability is, and everything has advantages and disadvantages, so it just has to work for you. A studio provides certain things, but there are also certain requirements, right? If you want to work in a team, if you want to share with the others, if you want to complete the experience of the members that attend your studio and your classes, then you just have to coordinate with everyone in the team. So if you are looking for that kind of experience, then maybe a studio is better. But if you want to be more the type of a lonely wolf and do your thing in your own ways and explore that path, then maybe it's better to be a freelancer. So it really depends what you want, where you are within your yoga career. Maybe that is also a point, and just choose accordingly. I don't think there is a better way. There's just a better way for yourself.
And Giulia?
Yeah, I could complete Anda's point of view. Like I feel like a wolf working already as a freelancer, designer freelancer, and I had enough of it. Let's say that I'm now more interested in working together as a team, and I explore this thing, and I find it very wonderful because every of us come with its own capabilities and talents, and what came out, it's a wonderful result. That being alone, it's, I think, only partially a success. But when you work as a team, you're more powerful, you're more able to adapt, because every time you can come with new solutions. And a new thing, it's all the time blooming from these collaborations between more instructors together, and a big team, a big, good team, functional team. Yeah.
Understand. Okay, now
Also, for me personally, for my own, let's say, experience with yoga, it was really great to work in a team, in the sense that each of us have our own experiences. We are all yoga teachers, but we follow different schools. So we have different approaches in the practice, and not only. And for me, it was very powerful to work together with the girls, with Giulia and our other colleagues, because I really felt that I grew in my own practice. And that is also something powerful also. But again, it depends. I was also looking myself for a team. I feel that I work better in a team context, and not just like as a lone wolf. But then again, there are people who prefer to focus more on themselves and put themselves out there, and that's also very brave and very beautiful. So it really depends.
Okay. Now I want to ask you a very technical question. Most of the teachers, they usually ask a question that when they teach a yoga class, sometimes there are beginners and sometimes there are intermediate students, and they don't know how to manage a yoga class. Being as a studio owners, you have seen a much more number of students going to the different kind of these yoga classes. How do you decide where the beginners and the intermediate students go, or do you teach them in the same class? What is your experience with it?
Well, it depends. We are a multi-style yoga studio. So we offer Hatha, Vinyasa, Ashtanga classes, and also in Vinyasa and in Hatha we have different categories of classes. And we also, on the other hand, have beginners classes, so classes that are designed for beginners or people who want to actually improve their technique, so to say. When a new person comes that has no yoga experience, we guide them to the classes that are more beginner friendly. So I would never recommend an Ashtanga class to someone who's getting like his or her first yoga class, probably because that's a bit too much. So I would guide them, we would guide them, but then of course it always happens that the person just comes to that class because it fits in their schedule. We usually work with mixed classes, and most of the courses that we have designed, except for, you know, the Ashtanga, because Ashtanga is Ashtanga, you have the set sequence. But with every other class, we design the structure in such a way that we always provide alternatives depending on the level, on the flexibility, on everything. So everything is designed in such a way that we would have maybe 2, even 3 alternatives for the most difficult part, or if it's a very easy class, that we have alternatives for people who want an extra challenge. So we teach in such a way that we give options to integrate everyone. Also, the rooms for the open classes, for the group classes, are quite large, and we try to set the people in such a way that the people that we already know, that they have a good practice, beautiful practice, then we try to place them a little bit more in front, so everyone who sits behind can have someone as a visual model in front of them. Okay. That is another technique that we use.
So I think that what is the key advice what Anda gave, that if you have a mixed number of students, you place the advanced much more in the front so that the beginners can follow them for a lead.
Yeah.
Now you see, Giulia, how many yoga classes do you teach normally in a week before we have this kind of a COVID-19, there's a crisis?
Before
COVID-19.
I think almost 10 or 12 per week.
And don't you feel the burnout? Because most teachers complain they feel the burnout by teaching 6 classes a week. So what is your advice for the new teachers or who are teaching part-time? How many yoga classes do they teach in a week?
I think now with this COVID, I feel with 6 classes per week more down to earth, and I feel like it's I can have a better rhythm in teaching, and also to have some energy also to pass to my students, because of course before a little bit we were also trying to see to test the market, to test the hours, to test how is it to have full program, and to see which one functioned better, because we were at the beginning with the studio. But now also we are more in the team, and we can have more spread in a week, more balanced spread. And I think 6 classes per week, it's okay for me.
Manageable.
It's very good, yeah.
Okay, then now before we go to our fast rapid fire round, I will ask you a very technical and a very futuristic question. How do you see the future of the Balance Studio or your personal yoga career after this COVID-19 is, suppose it has gone in coming 6 months? How do you process in the future, or do you see some future?
Sure, of course we see some future.
It
goes without saying.
Because nowadays most studios are turning into the digital. So I just asked that if suppose in coming 2 or 3 months, COVID-19 is completely over by miracle, where do you see the Balance Studio is taking the next approach? Because the students would have changed now, because they have experienced this online yoga, which would not be possible without COVID-19, but now they have a different perception. So how do you see your studio in the future? And this question will be also relevant for the new teachers who basically dream to have a studio one day. Anda, how do you see?
Well, it really depends, because at this point in time we have not opened yet in Romania. We're still not allowed to reopen the studios. So it is hard to tell, because everything that I did from my experience was to test and then adapt to what people need, because at the end of the day, that's what matters the most, that you provide a service to people based on their real needs. And right now we work very much assumption based, right? So the current assumption is that things will change, but still don't know how. So for the very beginning, probably for the next couple of months, we will continue, because we currently offer classes online, right? So we will continue offering this online classes and do it in parallel with our offline classes, like classes in the studio. And then we will see how things go from there, because what was very beautiful and interesting is that, you know, we are based in Cluj, and this is kind of our market for the studio, because it's very much location based. But on the other hand, during COVID, we got a lot of online members that are not in Cluj, not even in Romania, because we offer classes both in Romanian and in English. So we don't want to lose them. And we will continue with the online classes and focus basically on two businesses, the online business and the offline business. And exactly as we did during COVID, we are trying to offer a unitary experience. If you're at the studio, if you're at home, you would have more or less the same experience, with the exception of the physical contact. And probably that will be the future, an omni-channel experience in which, you know, if you wake up today a little bit late and you can't make it to the class, or if traffic is horrible, or you're staying in home office for the day, you can do yoga at home. You know, you just turn on Zoom and then join our class. Or if you go to the office, then you bring your yoga mat or your yoga stuff, and then you drop into the studio and you join a class here. So I think this is, at least from my perception, this is how things will be. You know, you have to be everywhere, offer a unitary experience, and based on their lifestyle and their mood and their feel, you know, people will just choose where they will be, in the studio or at home.
Okay, very good point. And I want to say that the future of the student is that they would have much more options. If they want to go to a studio, they can go to a studio. If they are tired or they just want to do from home, they can do from home.
Yes.
Now we come to our last part of this. This is a standard 6 question what I ask to everyone. So first I will ask you one by one. These has only 2 options. You just have to choose one. You cannot say both. You know, sometimes some teacher says both. So you cannot have all. There is only one thing.
Okay.
So first who wants to begin? Anda or Giulia?
Okay, I begin.
Let's begin to Anda. Ashtanga versus Hatha. It's a personal choice question. What do you like personally?
I'm Hatha.
Hatha. Manduka versus some other mat.
Absolutely any other mat. I'm very much not a fan of Manduka.
Vegan versus vegetarianism.
Right now I'm in between. I've been vegetarian for a while, exploring vegan for the past couple of months. I would still say vegetarian, but that's just me.
Coffee versus tea.
It's not very sattvic, but it's probably coffee.
Backbending, there's a backbending versus hip opening.
This is a tough one. I like backbending.
Morning practice versus evening practice.
Absolutely evening practice.
Okay, that's all, Anda. You did quite well.
Thank you.
Vegan versus vegetarian, but it's good. Giulia, answer fast. Ashtanga versus Hatha.
Hatha.
Manduka versus some other mat.
Manduka.
Vegan versus vegetarianism.
Vegetarian.
Coffee versus tea.
Coffee.
Backbending versus headstand.
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 Morning practice versus evening practice.
Evening practice.
Okay, I want to tell you that I'm not doing the promotion of Manduka. I just asked Manduka because it was
It's very well known here in this market, and it's fine.
Okay, then Giulia and Anda, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You did a very valuable contribution for the new teachers and the students who practice. So I wish you all the best during the COVID and after the COVID. So thank you
And
very
we
much.
look forward to having you back here once this is all over. We miss our
Sure, wait. I will